Everybody's talking at me. I don't know words to say. Only the echoes of my mind. People stop and stare. I can't see their faces. Only the shadow.
Hello everyone and welcome to BMW Australia's very first BMW M podcast. My name is Nick Raman and I am joined by Daniel Kalina. We both work for BMW Australia. I am in corporate communications and Daniel is the area manager for BMW special vehicles. So that covers the BMW M and BMW I brands. Welcome DC.
Thank you, Nick. It is a pleasure to be here with you, mate.
Great to have you on board. It's just, it's wonderful to be talking about the BMW M brand this year. It's been probably one of the biggest. And just recently, I think the high point was with the global premiere of the new 6th generation M3 and M4. And the highlights of these new models are endless, DC, and really bring to life performance and elevate the driving experience to new levels, don't they?
Yeah, they definitely do, Nick. And if we look at the last 18 months or so, we've had a huge refresh of our brand when you talk about, X3M and X4M, X5M and X6M, the new M8 Coupe and Grand Coupe, a lot of the M Performance versions that have come into the lineup. But these would have to be, without doubt, the most anticipated models to hit our shores for the last couple of years. I mean, we're talking about an M3 that ceased production back in October 2018 and an M4 which has only recently stopped. So, these represent a big chunk of our volume here in Australia. So you look at these two models alone, they've been reworked from the ground up. We delve into more detail later on with our special guest who we'll talk to shortly. But just the output alone is a huge talking point with increases of over 20 kilowatts on the M3 and M4 over the most focused models of the previous generation. And then that also sees a 30 kilowatt increase on the competition variants. So overall, you got 353 kilowatts for the M3 and M4, 375 kilowatts, for the competition variants. Now that combined with new hone chassis, body styling package, both in and out, a completely reworked control system, including the much anticipated M Drift analyzer, really gets the Drift an A-star rating.
Fantastic. I think we're all looking forward to a M Drift analyzer, DC. That'll appeal to all of us who like to get a little sideways just occasionally on the track.
Yes, that little inner bogan will come out of everyone when they do that. But let's wait and see when we get to experience it.
Indeed, looking forward to that. I think another fantastic aspect is the level of customization. It's another level for these new models, and customers will be able to choose a 6-speed manual for the M3 and M4 with rear drive. And the competition models will up the ante with that higher level of output that you mentioned, and they'll be fitted with a very fast shifting M Steptronic. So that's a move away from dual clutch to a torque converter auto, which I think is a really good move. It's a fantastic transmission. And our guest, as you said, will detail some more about that. But just on the launch, this was a huge event, wasn't it? The digital world premiere on the morning of September 23. We also connected with our colleagues in Munich to hold a digital press conference for the journalists where they could actually chat and connect with the BMW M CEO Markus Flasch. And the marketing team did a fantastic launch too, and with some pretty exciting initiatives.
Yeah, they did, and it was really good. It's always a privilege getting involved with the Munich guys because we don't tend to have a huge amount of interaction when it comes to the sort of everyday launches that we do, be it a 1 Series, 2 Series, 3 Series, etc. But with the M products in particular, and you got Markus Flasch, our CEO, who is really out there in social media. You saw all the teasers he was putting together on Instagram probably a month before he should have, but that's just sort of that individual that he is. He likes to give the hardcore fans a little bit of a teaser of what's to come. And you're right, the marketing guys did an amazing job. They ran what they call the Rumours campaign, which included a fantastic TV commercial, which was shot locally. You saw the first 15-second clip at the start of our podcast, and there's a longer 45-second version at the end. But basically, you got the M3 and M4 scrubbing out rumours that have been sort of hitting the airways over the last, let's say, 6 to 12 months on this track surface. And that's anything from, what's the grille going to look like? What's the styling going to look like? Is there going to be a bigger output? Are they going to be all-wheel drive, rear-wheel drive, et cetera, et cetera? So we know the amount of chat that these cars created, and this was a lot of fun and really an interesting way of addressing that speculation. And it was really out there. It was something really, really different, and the guys did an incredible job doing it. So they did a great outcome.
Yeah, fantastic. And now we're seeing both the M3 and M4 do a tour of the country at BMW dealerships, which gives customers and fans a really amazing opportunity to see them up close.
Yeah, correct. So we started off the national tour, and albeit COVID has sort of thrown a spanner in the works there, but we did kick off in New South Wales. The vehicles are actually currently now in transit over to WA, and then from WA they head over to Queensland, South Australia, Victoria, etc. So they are doing a national tour at the moment, and we've been blessed that we're one of the lucky countries because of our if you look at a global sale, we're sitting in the top 3 from an overall share perspective when you talk about M sales per how many BMWs we sell in the country. So that's a 1 in 5 cars sold, or a BMW car sold, has the M badge on it somewhere. So a huge representation there. And the fact that we can have these cars on tour so the customers can go in and actually touch and feel and have a better understanding of the amount of work and craftsmanship and engineering and design elements that have gone into these two vehicles, and why it has taken so long for the M8 to, it's been 24 months almost from when it stopped production to where it is today, to really give that new owner a sense of feel. Because photos never do it justice, videos, commercials never do it justice. It's not until you physically sit in the car, you feel how the seats grip your body, you feel how the steering wheel is and the pedals and all the other dimensions of the car, really puts it into perspective in real life. You see the sun shining off the car, you see all the different elements of the body styling. It really beats anything that a photographer or a video cameraman can put together. So it's a huge privilege that we've had to have these cars down in Australia.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point about seeing cars in the metal, because as good as any photo is, it's nowhere near the level of actually seeing a car in the metal and being able to appreciate the width and the way that they have flared the guards. It looks amazing from the rear. Actually, both cars do. And the new grille makes a lot of sense when you see it integrated within the front air dam. I think that's something that you really need to see in the metal. So it's fantastic that customers and fans can connect and get up close and personal with these cars.
Well, it was probably about the start of the year that I had my one of my M colleagues tell me that when he first physically saw the car, in its full proportion in real life, he said it's only when you see the car in its entirety does the front grille make sense from a proportion perspective. Yes, it's polarizing and it's really in your face because it's probably 3 times the size of the outgoing generation grille and the traditional kidney style that we had. But it's not until you see all the curves and all the dimensions as one car does it all actually come together and make sense with the scoops on the bonnet and the wider wheel guards, et cetera, et cetera. So yeah, really, really, really good to see them in real life.
And so DC, to talk in more detail about the M3 and M4 and really tackle the technical aspects of these cars, let's welcome our first guest, Mr. Brendan Michel, who is the Head of Product and Market Planning and Manager of the BMW driving experience.
Yeah, thanks, Nick. So I've been with BMW Australia for 17 years now, in various roles throughout my time at BMW Australia. More recently, product management for 7 years, been head of product now for 3 years, and before joining the product team, I was in sales operations for 6 years. So a good all-round grounding on how the business operates here at BMW Australia.
Thanks, Brendan. Now, you and I both work at our headquarters over in Mulgrave. It's been some time since we've seen each other due to the COVID lockdown restrictions, and we always have a bit of banter and discussion about M&M performance in the Australian market. And as you know, for many years now, that growth and that representation has been growing year on year. So the success of M&M performance in Australia, how do you think that lays the foundation for now the introduction of the new models coming into 2021?
Yeah, thanks, Daniel. I think we are very fortunate here in Australia to have such a big M following. We know the mix of BMWs we sell here in Australia is one of the highest of any country in the world. We know Australians love performance vehicles, so it's only fitting we offer a large choice to our customers, and we are very happy to still be able to offer a manual transmission in this segment with the new M3 and M4, where we know our competitors are not able to provide a manual transmission at the moment. Plus, with the choice of rear-wheel drive now and MX Drive coming later next year. We have all bases covered for our customers.
So, Brendan, just on that, can you take us through some of the technical and performance highlights of these new models?
Yeah, so with the new M3 and M4, we have the latest 3-cylinder, 6-cylinder twin-turbo engine from the M division in Munich, codenamed the S58. It replaces the S55 engine on the previous generation of the M3 and M4. And when I first started to drive an X3M last year, my first thought was, I cannot wait to experience this engine in an M3. It has lots of torque down low to get you off the line quickly and a crazy amount of power above 5,000 RPM for a 6-cylinder. And this engine just loves to be revved hard. So we are launching with the rear-wheel drive competition variants early next year, which means we get the full 375 kilowatts of power from the very start with the 8-speed automatic transmission. That is over 500 horsepower in the old language, which is impressive for a 3-litre displacement. Also, early next year, our customers in Australia will also be able to order both the M3 and M4 with a manual transmission pumping out 353 kilowatts of power. And then to finish it off, another big surprise is the second half of next year, we'll also be offering them both with MX Drive, and this will be the first time we've ever been able to offer all-wheel drive in this segment.
Fantastic.
Now, Brendan, I'm glad you mentioned X3M and X4M when you test drove those, because it's fair to say probably in the last 16 to 18 months or so, we've had a huge amount of new product into the M&M performance lineup. We've seen, as you mentioned, X3M and X4M. We've had the new M8 Coupe and Grand Coupe and not the convertible, but the Coupe and Grand Coupe. We've seen some of the M performance lineups with the M135 and the M235, X5M and X6M, which we just released. I think it was in May of this year, and now M3 and M4. Like it's a massive amount of lineup, and there's something there for everyone across both the passenger and SUV range. Now, you and the team work really closely with your colleagues over in Germany in specifying the cars for our market. What can fans expect from these cars when they locally arrive?
Yeah, so I think it's safe to say we've actually thrown the kitchen sink when it comes to specification and standard equipment here in Australia on these cars. So even at the entry level on those non-competition models, which are the manual transmission, they've all got the carbon fibre interior trims. They've got the carbon fibre roof, which is factory standard. We've got M Sport seats. We've got leather merino upholstery. We've got the latest in technology in the car with the latest in BMW Live Cockpit Professional, the BMW M head-up display, the top line with the sound system, which is the Harman Kardon sound system, metallic paint we've now made standard on the car, and even all variants get 19-inch wheels on the front and 20s on the rear. And there's also even some extra bits and pieces that our customers can add to the cars as well. Some really nice carbon fibre features, such as those carbon fibre racing seats, which actually reduce the weight of the car as well. We've also got the M carbon fibre exterior pack. And for those guys that really want to do some serious track work, we've also got on offer the M carbon ceramic brakes on the new M3 and M4 also. So lots of standard equipment and lots of choice for the customers here in Australia as well.
No, again, you guys have done an amazing job. And Nick, sorry, before I throw back to you, I see we've got another minute or two. I just want to ask Brendan one more question, if I may. Brendan, if you had the choice personally between the standard seats and the carbon option, which one would you choose?
That's a really good question, mate, because they're both got their own benefits. The standard seat is more focused on comfort. It still has the very large butterflies, which you expect from all M models.
Yep.
But those carbon fibre racing seats, I've seen them in the flesh. They absolutely look stunning. The design of those and really, really hugging seats, which are totally built for that real track experience and to give you that real racing experience. So day-to-day driving, I'd go for the standard seat, but if I'm more focused on doing some serious track sessions, I'd definitely take the carbon fibre seat option for sure.
Well, I can hear the excitement in your voice, mate, and you're giving me goosebumps just talking about it, because I'm yet to see the cars in real life due to COVID. We haven't been able to sort of head on back into the office to see them there, and the cars are obviously now on their tour of the national dealer network. But man, it's something I just cannot wait to get behind the steering wheel of. So thank you, really, thanks a lot for your time, Brendo.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Thanks,
Good to
Brendo.
chat.
Look forward to chatting to you soon.
All right, catch you later.
Thanks very much, mate.
Take care,
It's
mate.
great. So, DC, although this is our first episode, we've still been able to gather some listener questions, which is great. And full disclosure, these are from people we know,
Yep.
But they're keen about the brand. They want to know more about M and also M3 and M4, which is certainly on theme.
Mm-hmm.
We look forward to opening the floodgates on listener questions in the future, and listeners can actually do that by emailing us at podcast, that's one word, at bmw.com.au. So looking forward to getting your feedback. First question today, though, DC,
Yes.
is from Dave,
Dave.
who asks if M3 and M4 will be electrified.
Good question, and a very topical one, Dave. So the answer is no, they won't. And that was recently confirmed by our colleagues over in Germany. So BMW M is definitely working on electrified high-performance cars, but the M3 and M4 in its current generation will continue on the high-powered turbo petrol course, which also means we can continue to offer the manual transmission. And that's excellent news for enthusiasts like us, Nick.
Sure is.
Now, that said, there will be an M Performance version of the all-new i4 electric car next year, and that is something we're really looking forward to, and a big topic of discussion for future podcast episodes, and also watching this space to see what else comes for potential new models down the line.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think that's going to be a really exciting time in terms of the next generation of the M brand.
Definitely.
So there's a lot to talk about, and we are, as you said, we're going to tackle that in the future. So looking forward to that. I've got another one here from Peter, who asks if there will be CS, CSL or GTS models in the future. It's a good question.
It is another good question. Now, nothing has been announced officially, but if you look at the way models have been released in the past, then one could safely predict we will see hardcore race-inspired versions of the of the M3 and the M4 in the future. I mean, it also makes a lot of sense when you consider the motorsport is still a massive focus for our brand with the launch of the new BMW M4 GT3 race car. So that car uses a similar engine to what powers the M3 and M4 road cars. It's just got a different oil system. So if history is anything to go by, and if it does somewhat repeat itself, then you could sort of safely predict that there will be something along the lines that we can look forward to in the near future. And we've seen a little glimpse into what that future looks like with, the recently announced M3 Touring, which has started to hit the airwaves on a global scale as well. So a lot of cool things still to come. Yes, we've had a massive 18 months, but there's still, there's such a big, we're talking 5 to 10 years ahead of us. There's still some really, really cool stuff that's going to come out of Germany. So just watch this space. Now, I have a question for you, Nick.
Sure.
Now, Neil has asked if there is any information yet about an M4 convertible.
Okay, that's a good one too. So Marcus Flash recently, who we mentioned, the CEO of BMW M, did speak about this in the press conference that we had for journalists, and he said that it was coming at some point. We don't have a great deal of detail. We know that it is coming, but I think needless to say, DC, that's going to be brilliant, that open top format, that straight six turbo singing and quad exhausts booming. I think that will be a great addition to our range, probably sometime next year. So anyway, that's going to be very exciting. I think you can look forward to having that in our portfolio, DC.
Yeah, and I think you can sort of see the trend here where there just seems to be little snippets of new information coming out every few months, amongst the BMW M brand and something that the fans can really look forward to. But can I just also add, Nick, while we're talking about Marcus Flash, I mean, we all know he's a huge supporter of the Australian market. He's made it very clear in some of his recent posts that he wants to visit Down Under. He loves racing. So hopefully in some of our future or near future episodes that we can probably bring the fans some good news once COVID restrictions ease and travel restrictions ease, and we can get Marcus down here to Australia to really give fans what they're looking for and get a really cool Q&A with the man himself.
Yeah, totally agreed. I think he's mentioned to us before that he can't wait to hit Phillip Island and Bathurst. So we have to try to make that happen, DC.
Maybe we can make it happen with the new M3 and M4.
Yeah, I think
maybe the
ideal.
hot laps that Brendo can take us around with will be with Marcus Flash himself. So
I think that'd be great. Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
And so with that, DC, that does bring us to the checkered flag of episode 1. Thanks everyone for listening, and thanks to you, DC.
Oh, it's been a privilege.
Hasn't it been good?
It has, and look, we're privileged to have this opportunity. So hopefully the fans are sort of going to get what they anticipated out of the podcast, and hopefully soon to be a video cast once we're allowed back into the studio at our headquarters over in Mulgrave, Victoria. But yeah, I think there's a lot of cool information that we can share with our listeners, and a lot of really, really good stuff that we can talk to in the near future as well.
Yeah, totally agree. And just a reminder to our listeners that the way that you can get in touch with us is by emailing us at podcast@bmw.com.au. So looking forward to all your feedback, your thoughts, any ideas that you've got for the podcast, and we'll bring you those and bring them to life in the future. But anyway, DC, thanks very much.
My pleasure,
Look forward
Nick.
to chatting to you soon.
No, always a pleasure. I can't wait to see you back in the office, hopefully soon. And nevertheless, it's good to hear your voice anyway, my friend.
And yours.
Likewise.
Good on you, DC.
Have a good one, Nick. Cheers,
Thank you.
mate.
Bye.
And you said the M4 is faster.
What vehicle do you have, folks?
I told you the M4 is faster.
And I told you the M3 is more fun.